thank you all for coming out. It's a fantastic crowd. I have been here once before. It's a great wee bar and a great audience the last time. Now this show is sponsored by KK Health and Fitness. A big thank you to those guys. I'll remind you that we are selling raffle tickets. Where the prize will be a Celtic jersey signed by the main man, John Hartson. You'll come up to the stage, you'll get your name and a message signed on the jersey, bring your phone and you'll get your picture taken as well. There are also some fantastic auction items that will be auctioning off in the second half. And if you've got a question for John that I don't ask myself, write it down on one of the wee bits of card and we'll ask it in the second half. Often that's when the controversial questions get asked. Also, there is a European Cup, big cup over there, big cup with the big ears. If you want to get your photograph taken over there, please do so. There is a charity tin and all proceeds will go to the John Hartson Foundation. Now these nights are fantastic, they're a great insight, but the best way to get a wee bit of honesty is by not filming it, right? So please no cameras tonight and you'll get honesty from John Hartson. Now John for me is legendary in Celtic circles. He played with one of the greatest teams in my lifetime. He's obviously been through serious illness as well. It's just great to have him here. So please put your hands together for the one and only John Hartson. Welcome to Dundee, John.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here.
I've spent the last week writing questions, but what's the point after Sunday? There's only one topic of conversation. Right? What was your thoughts on Scott Brown and his antagonisation of every person in a blue jersey on Sunday?
I actually got caught in bad weather on the way up here today. Fucking Bruni's fault, Scott Brown again. No, I'm actually trying to figure out, I'm trying to take my Celtic hat off for a minute, okay? I'm actually trying to figure out, seriously, what Scott Brown did wrong. He celebrated, right? And when you win, you celebrate. Naturally, you win. You got that great feeling inside you. You've done something fantastic. You've made so many Celtic fans happy around the world. They've all got up in different Celtic supporters clubs in Philadelphia, in Vancouver, in New York, all hours of the morning to watch this game. It goes out to something like 300 countries worldwide, this particular game. So Scott knows, as captain and a great leader, when you win, he's made so many people, so many Celtic fans happy around the world. And he's smiling for joy and everything else. Back in December, when Rangers played very well and beat Celtic fair and square at Ibrox, there was about 7 or 8 players goading Scott all the way off, doing the huddle all around him. And what does he do? He walks straight down the tunnel, takes it on the chin and says, fair enough, we lost. We'll be back another day, right? But I don't see all this provoking stuff. We're all provoked in society all the time. Every other day people will put something on social media, or you're provoked or you're teased. You choose how you deal with that. You choose, it's your particular choice in how you act when you're provoked. Right, so this provocation stuff, it's nonsense. So for me, taking my Celtic hat off, I'm trying not to be, I'm a little bit, of course, I'm biased because of my allegiances. But, seriously, Paul, I'm thinking to be charged. Even Steven Gerrard. What did Steven do? I know. Yeah. Seriously, what did he do? Nothing. So I think the SFA have opened up a can of worms. When you win a race at athletics, right, and you win, you do a lap of honour. So all them other 9 losers that you beat in the race, all their family and friends are in the crowd. They're all thinking, get him charged. He's celebrating. But seriously, I just can't fathom it out. I really can't. What's the punishment? That's seriously, I'm baffled by it. I really am.
John, it seems since the game there's been a media frenzy surrounding Scott Brown. They've gone on about Brown more than they've gone on about the petulance of Morelos or the shove by Ryan Kent. Right? Now, we've had this experience before with one of your ex-teammates, Neil Lennon. He was singled out, he was targeted. Is Scott Brown taking that mantle? Is he the man now? Is he the figure that they're going to target?
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know whether he's going to be... Listen, he has been singled out, and I just think there's a lot of Celtic haters out there, guys, and they don't like the fact that in the last 7 or 8 years, we've been the team from Scotland that's been flying the flag in Europe for Scottish football, okay? In the last 3 years, we've been untouchable. Not so good this year, maybe we've lost 4 games or 5 games, whatever it is, as what the previous 2 seasons have been, but we've still got a trophy in the bag, we've still won the league, and we sit in the semi-final. That is upsetting an awful lot of people. Celtic success, okay? They cannot deal with it, they're trying to find different ways to upset the rhythm, to put us off, you know, to put us out of whatever, you know, sort of gear that we're in. And I do sense that. I do sense there's a lot of people not happy with Celtic's success. Because for every Celtic supporter, there's another 3 or 4 other club supporters of clubs that won't be enjoying Celtic's success. And I really feel they are trying to knock us off guard in terms of what they're doing to Celtic, in terms of the SFA. And as I go back to it, I really don't think that Bruni did anything wrong. And I don't think Steven Gerrard, I don't agree with some of his comments about, obviously, Ryan Kent doesn't hit him in the face. It's clear as day. It's a punch. The final whistle's gone. It's an off-the-ball incident. And Morelos has smashed Brown in the face, off the ball, and they deserve to be cited. What Scott did was celebrate winning what is arguably the biggest game of the season, because it was the game that eventually put us over to go on for 8 titles in a row, which has been incredible. So I really just don't get it. With Neil Lennon, you know, Neil had to put up with a fair bit of personal stuff. We all know what happened. You know, the painting outside his flat and being beat up in Ashton Lane and God knows what. Oh, he brought it on himself. What is that about? Do you know what I mean? He's just a football player trying to do a job. But there we are. That's my view.
You know him very well, John. Obviously, he's your ex-teammate. What kind of job do you think he's done so far? And should he get a crack at the job on a full-time basis?
Well, I'd like to ask the 100 people in here tonight. A hands up if you want Neil Lennon to get the job.
2 hands.
I would say that's probably 50-50. And I appreciate that, because everybody's entitled to their opinion. What I would say is the Scottish Cup final, if we get there, is on May the 25th. The Champions League qualifiers are early June. So if it's not Neil, they're going to have to get a move on with a new manager, because there's 6 or 7 players that have to go back on from loan deals. You look at Burke, Weir, Toyan, Benkovic, you could name 2 or 3 more. Neil's got to get, if it is Neil, or the new manager's got to bring players in quickly, because there's a quick turnaround. As I said, the Champions League qualifiers are about 3 weeks after the Scottish Cup final. Neil will get it, certainly he'll get the job till the end of the season, I'm absolutely sure about that. He's not lost a game since he's come in, he's not lost 1 game. I agree we got a late goal against Dundee, 0-0 against Aberdeen. Weren't brilliant last night, but he's getting the job done. And I would imagine the people that I've spoken to, you know, it's pretty divided. A lot of people don't want to see Neil, they want to see somebody else, freshen it up a bit. But don't forget, the last time we freshened it up a bit, we had Ronnie Dyler in charge. Now I know they might not go down the Ronnie Dyler route again. They've had their fingers burnt on that one. But I think if he goes on and wins the Scottish Cup and brings back a triple treble from picking it up from where it was, all that ill feeling towards Brendan Rodgers, and rightly so, disappointed myself in that. So for me, if Neil goes on and wins the Scottish Cup and he brings that treble home, Paul, I think he puts himself in a strong position. Whether that's enough to get the job, I don't know. Would I like to see him do it? I would, simply because I think he's become a better manager from being at Celtic before. He's gone out, did very well at Hibs, took them back into the top flight at his first attempt, finished in the top 6, second season, excellent. He beat Rangers twice at Ibrox, and also beat Celtic a couple of times at Hibs. Okay, this year not so good. He had his issues with the owners and everything at Hibs. So I think he's wiser, he's a bit older, taking the job for the second time. And my own opinion is I would like Neil to get it. But again, I sat next to him for 5 years in the Celtic dressing room, so I'm a little bit biased, of course. So that's my view on that one.
Now, another good sign I felt at the weekend was the appearance of Lee Griffiths coming onto the pitch, etc., walking around. You mentioned Lee yourself in December, John, and you basically said your door is always open for him. Because obviously there's now a greater awareness of some of the issues that the footballers face. As a young guy at Luton, massive transfer to Arsenal, was there any kind of support in terms of money management, gambling, that kind of thing? Because obviously that's been an issue for 20 years of your life, isn't it?
Well, when I went to Arsenal, there was 3 fucking alcoholics in the team. There was Tony Evans, Paul Mercy and Ray Parlour. So every afternoon they would offer a liquid lunch and everything else, you know. There was 2 or 3 compulsive gamblers in that team. So, you know, you can see why I become a gambler. But no, I actually offered to mentor Lee Griffiths because I've not had a bet for 8 years. It's all right. And I've had issues, I've had problems. I gambled a lot of money. I drank too much. I did things that maybe I'm not proud of. I think we've all got skeletons in this room. I don't think there's any one person that's done something that they don't want people to know. You're young, lots of money, living in London, the lights, the bright shiny lights of London. And as you get older, the one good thing I have found anyway is you get a bit wiser. And I'm living in Edinburgh now. I've built a really nice house. I wouldn't have been able to do this if I hadn't got myself clean. So in the last 8 years, I've done 500-600 shows with the BBC, BT Sport, 60-70 shows a year, and I haven't seen 1 pence that I've earned. It's all gone to my wife's account, and she takes care of every single penny. And honest to God, it works. It's working. So why would I change it? 10, 15 years ago, if I had £2,000 in my hand, it was only gambling money. It really was. So why would I want to walk around with that type of money, you know, and potentially, you know, have that money in my pocket? So now, it all goes to her. If I want anything, I can have it. I'm focused. Gambling doesn't control my life anymore. I'm on top of my issue. I go to GA twice a week, and it saved my life. I know we might talk about my cancer battle and the ordeal there, but the gambling has actually put me in a focus where I can move forward and I can keep going and getting my treatment. Knowing more and learning more about this awful addiction. Gambling is an illness. You know, the things that you do when you're a gambler, you have no feelings for anybody else. Not because you're not a nice person, it's because you're ill. It's got you. You're ill, you're an addict. That's what it is. And the more I learn about that going forward, and I actually offered, I phoned Peter Lowell and I said, look Peter, I've been where Lee is. I've been there. I've blown a lot of money on gambling. I never mixed with the right people, blah, blah, blah. I think I can help me. And he said, John, we are putting him in a priory in Glasgow. And I just thought, wrong move. I thought, priory, treatment in the morning, all day. And the first week, Lee was in the priory. After 1 week, he's pictured down at Newcastle races with a pint in his hand and with cash in his hand. So I did my best. I would have worked with Lee on a daily basis. I wouldn't have wanted any payment for it. I've got to know Lee over the years, and I know exactly where he is. I know exactly where he is with his head, what he needs, that stability, someone with him that knows exactly how he feels, what he's going through, what he's thinking. And I would have helped. I would have helped him try and get better. They say now he's back training with the group, which is great news. He's obviously gone through his treatment, which I'm delighted about. But I felt I couldn't do any more than actually specifically speak to the chief executive of the club and say, look, let me deal with Lee. I put myself out there, but they decided to go their own way. So that's where we are with Lee Griffiths.
I think when you look back at your kind of early career, John, you spoke about signing for Arsenal, 3 alcoholics in the team, and it was true. And there was alcoholics in the Liverpool team and various other teams. It was part of the kind of culture of football at that time. I would have hoped all these years later that clubs would understand it a wee bit more and there'd be a greater awareness. You've said there that the move to put them into priory is the wrong one. You should know, you've been there. So do you think as a game, as a sport, and as companies, as these clubs are now, they need to raise their game in terms of assisting and supporting their players?
Well, I think there is more. I think there is more advice, and I think you do get people that go into the clubs and speak to the players on a regular basis. But ultimately, you can take the advice on. If you feel as if you want to go and gamble, people can say to you, there'll be gamblers in this room tonight, 100%. Compulsive gamblers in this room tonight. Now I can speak till I'm blue in the face, and I can say, look, this is what it's done to me. Don't do as I did, do as I say. Take it on board, you will end up skint, you'll end up being kicked out of your house, you'll end up taking your kids' money for Christmas, you'll end up taking your wedding money that you've been saving up for 5-6 years. That will happen to you if you're a compulsive gambler, believe me. If they take no notice of me and keep on gambling, there's not a lot I can do. All I can do, and all these practitioners can do, is put it out there. And sometimes that's not enough. If players want to drink in the afternoon, they'll drink. People can advise them as much as they want not to. And I think now as well, yes, there's been a lot of cases of mental health, lots of players that have retired and ended up losing their houses, getting divorced, all these type of things. And I think it happens more when you finish, because ultimately the players that are still playing, the physical condition that they're in is very good. I don't think they drink anywhere near as much as what we used to 20 years ago. You know, physically they're all like that now. You do not see an overweight footballer now. They're all in fantastic shape. They train well. So for me, I think there's advice out there. I think they're trying to help. Tony Adams have set up the sporting clinic in Southampton, helped thousands of footballers with different issues, and that's why Tony Adams, for me, my captain at Arsenal, was a great man, because he came out and said 25 years ago, I'm an alcoholic, I'm going to need your help. He's not only done that, he's set up the Sporting Chance, Tony Adams Clinic, and he's helped thousands of players with drug abuse, drinking, gambling, and lots of players go through that system and you don't even get to hear about it. So I think there's help there, but ultimately, if you've got a problem, you've got to want to stop. If you don't want to stop gambling, you know, I can take a horse to water, you can't make a horse drink it. You know, so as much advice as you can get, if you don't want to stop, then don't bother, because you've got no chance otherwise.
The Arsenal team that you joined, John, was typically British. When you look at the Cup Winners' Cup final, that he unfortunately lost 2-1 and scored in that game. There was one player from overseas, that was the Swede. Everybody else was from the British Isles. When the likes of Bergkamp comes into Highbury, as it was, and Wenger comes in, what did they introduce to the British mentality and the culture of a dressing room?
Wenger was brilliant. What Arsene Wenger did straight away was he basically changed all the food, all the diet, and it worked for the majority of the players, because generally we used to go and have steak and chips in the pub, swallowed down by 6 or 7 pints of lager. He changed all that mentality, and the likes of Bold, Adams, Keown, Winterburn, Dixon, Seaman, they will all tell you now that Arsene Wenger put 3 or 4 years on top of their career, because they tuned in. They tuned into the fitness, the diet, the training schedule, everything else, the psychology. And he was brilliant, Arsene Wenger. He did everything by a whistle, everything was timed. It wasn't just going over 5-a-side, do a bit of shape, finish with shooting. Everything was structured, methodically, and he was fantastic. I never heard him swear. I stayed at Arsenal for 3 years under Arsene Wenger, never swore once, an absolute gentleman of a man. And of course, most men will have one weakness, right? Whether it's drink too much, whether you gamble, whether you stay out all night, blah blah blah. Paul Merson had 3. Merce had the lot, right? He had the lot. He had a counsellor with him of every move of every day that he made, Paul. And I tell you a true story, right? This is a true story about my days at Arsenal. I'm only 19 years of age. I'm Britain's most expensive teenager, right, in the history of football. So I go to Arsenal, and I'd only been at the club 3 or 4 weeks. And it's a Monday morning. I go into training, and I'm walking down the corridor, and I bump into Paul Merson, who's a legend at the football club. He's come through the ranks, like Teeny at Celtic. He's one of their own. He's come through from 10, 11 years of age. They love him. Fans love one of their own coming through, breaking into the first team, Merson, Arsenal, through and through, blah, blah, blah. So, our itinerary for that week, we train on the Monday, we fly to Germany on the Tuesday, and we play Borussia Dortmund on the Wednesday in Germany in the Champions League qualifier. That's our plan for that week. So I bump into Merce. He says, "All right, John?" I said, "Yeah, all right, Paul. How's it going? All right?" He said, "Yeah, I'm good, yeah." He said, "Can you do me a favour this morning in training?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Can you do me a favour?" I said, "Well, what is it? What do you want me to do?" He said, "Well, the thing is," he said, "I've just bought a horse." He said, "I've just invested in a horse, a little filly. She's coming over from Cork tomorrow in Ireland. She makes her first run on Wednesday at Ascot." I said, "Right, okay." He said, "This morning in training," he said, "Can you give me a little whack?" He said, "Because I don't want to go to fucking Germany." He said, "I want to watch my horse run at Ascot. You've just paid fucking 20 grand for her. Apparently she's on it. She's gonna win." So I said, "No problem at all." I quite enjoyed the physical side of it. I actually revelled in it. I just loved fucking hurting people. That's what it was. So we go out to train, and after 5 minutes, Paul Merson just jogs past me like that. And I go like that, I go, whack! I've raked 8 studs, that fucking long, down the back of Paul Merson's calf, right? So Merce is rolling on the floor, squealing like a pig. Right? The players are that. George Graham, who's my manager at the time, right? The great Scot, George Graham. What a man, what a brilliant manager. George says, For fuck's sake, big man. What the fuck are you doing? He says, it's fucking Paul Merson. He says, would you fucking calm down? You calm yourself down. So my wife is Scottish, so I'm quite she's from Fort William, so I said, sorry boss. Now, nobody fucking knows that me and Paul have got this going on, right? I'm doing my mate a favour. George hasn't got a clue, so he's telling me to calm myself down, rightly so. So I said, oh, sorry boss, so pick Paul up. They've had to replace his sock, because there's blood everywhere. So Merce gets up, quite gingerly off the floor, and we get on with it. So, there's about 30 seconds left, right, of this session. Because you can tell when the session's coming to an end, because all the young lads, all the apprentices, are all round the outside picking the balls up and putting them into the baskets and picking the cones up and everything else. So George says, right lads, 30 seconds to go, next goal wins. Right, that wasn't such a good accent, but there we go. Next goal wins, 30 seconds. So I can feel Paul Merson's presence, right? I can smell him. He's walking up alongside me, and it's a beautiful November morning, crisp. You can see your breath in the fresh air. Fill your lungs up, beautiful, nice fresh air breath out in the fields, lovely. So he's stinking, he's honking a booster. So he whispers in my ear, Paul Merson, runs past me, whispers in my ear, and he goes, any chance of making it look realistic? I honestly couldn't believe what he's saying to me, right? So I thought, fuck this, I've had enough now. I've had a bollocking off George. I'm potentially being left out of the team because of what I've done already. The lads have turned against me. All the players are like, fucking John, come on, he's our best player. You can't be kicking our fucking best player. So anyway, nobody knows, only me and Paul. So I thought he's taking the piss. So the ball is bouncing, right? In front of George, right on the halfway line. George Graham's like that. I've took off. I fucking took off. I have absolutely cut Paul Merson in half. Right? I fucking got him there. He went up in the air, fucking bang, down like a fucking sack of spuds. Right? George has walked off. The players just cannot believe it. Paul Merson didn't play for 4 months. And I got fined 2 weeks fucking later. And his horse fell and I got put down. I got fucking Paul Merson, what a character.
John, you're talking about the physical side of the game. Last year, I had the pleasure of speaking to one of your ex-teammates, Neil Ruddock. He says that since you joined Celtic, he became a Celtic fan. He watches your career, he starts supporting Celtic. There was another training ground incident when you were at West Ham involving a favourite of the Celtic fans, Ayel Berkovic. What's your memories of that?
What can I say? I have to say, if honestly God, that was the wrong reaction. I shouldn't have reacted that way, and genuinely it's one of the regrets, because what happened was I tackled him from behind, and as he got up he threw a punch at me. He threw the punch, if you like, and he caught me there. It was nothing, it was just a little punch, and then I kicked out, And what happened was there was a guy on the side of the pitch, like that, with a mobile phone, like recording it. So I go home that day, and I think nothing of it. And then news at 10 that night. Fucking Trevor McDonald. My wife is in the living room. I'm in the kitchen making a cup of coffee, right? And a Kit Kat. So it comes on the main news. You're not a virgin, me, big fella, right? I don't want this all over fucking YouTube anymore. So I'm in the kitchen. I can hear her shouting, my wife, Trevor McDonald, news at 10. If there's any children in the room, could they please be taken out of the room, because what you're about to see is very, very disturbing. My wife's gone, babe, quick, fucking have a look at this. Come and have a look at this. Something's happened today. So I comes through with a cup of coffee and a fucking Kit Kat from my wife. Bosh is there. Main headlines, news at 10. 7 hours after the incident. The guy who'd done that had sold it. So the next morning, because I hadn't told my missus nothing, she's gone, what the fuck have you been doing? So the next morning, I've had to leave the country because there was about 200 press cameras outside my house. I was front page of every national newspaper across Europe. It just went absolutely mental. And as I said, you know, I could stand here and go, well, he's lucky he was my right foot, but I'm not. Genuinely, I don't regret that incident. It caused my mother and father a lot of problems in Wales. They were ashamed because they just live a nice quiet life in Swansea. People knocking their door, knocking my mum and dad's door, saying to my mum, you know, what was it like to bring up an absolute raving fucking lunatic? Oh, he's my son, he's never done anything wrong in his life, John, you know. But it was embarrassing. I brought it on myself and I held my hand up. I took the fine, I took the ban, and I've always had to carry that around with me. Now that was 22 years ago. That was in 1997, that incident, right? And I always felt, whenever people spoke about me, in terms of, oh, John Hartson, yeah, he's a good lad, yeah, good player, yeah, blah, 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 yeah. But, you see that? Remember that? Remember that Berkovic thing? And I've had to carry that around with me all my life, really. Hence, you fucking asking me about it. But, no, seriously, it's like, you know, and I just think, generally, especially in local villages, people love to revel in other people's misdemeanors, right? Rather than seeing people, not everybody, but a lot of people, rather than seeing people do well, they love people to fucking fuck up and get it wrong. The news of the world. We couldn't wait to get the news of the world quick enough, could we? Sunday morning, who've they fucking done this week? Fucking front page this week, you know? And I always felt, whenever I go on now and say about Scott Brown, he did nothing wrong, I get about 300 fucking pictures of me and Berkovic. You're a fine one to talk, you're a fine one to talk. But I was aggressive and I was strong and I liked to throw my weight around, but I never went in elbowing or over the top and all that sort of stuff. I never went in to break people's legs or to really do serious harm, and I can genuinely say that. So I genuinely mean that when I say it was probably one of my biggest regrets that actually happened. And it happens in a split second. And then the guy. Like I was at Wimbledon and there was a fight every other day on the training ground. If the cameras would have been there, then they would have just been everywhere. But obviously somebody was on a mobile phone and they've cashed in. So that's why we ask people to turn their phones off, because I'm not being funny, 99.9% of Celtic supporters in here But sometimes when you're telling a story, I'm calling Ryan Giggs a fucking shagger or something like that. It's like someone's under the table and they're like that. The next morning, John Hartson calls Ryan Giggs a shagger. But you'll be happy about this, in Dundee. So that's why you've got to be careful, because I live in a world where, you know, anything that I do or I say, it's out there. It's out there, you know, and that's the way it is. So I could have been sat here, no Berkovich, but this fat twat of a Spurs fan that recorded it, he's done me in, you know.
Sorry to ask
I'm
you.
not calling you a fan. Not you, no. The fat twat that was on the fucking sideline today. Not you, Paul, no.
Now, incredibly, we've been on the stage for 35 minutes, you wouldn't believe that. We've touched on Celtic of today and a wee bit of John's career. There's loads more to cover. So if you want to ask John any questions about Celtic, because I get the impression we've got mainly a Celtic fan base in the room, and some of the other battles that he's faced over the last few years, please write it down on the wee bits of card, and in the second half we will be asking the questions. We're going to have a short break, and during that time also there will be the raffle tickets available to purchase. You'll be able to get a personally signed jersey from John Hartson and your picture taken with the great man to my left. So we'll join you again in about 15 minutes, but in the meantime please put your hands together for the one and only John, as worn by John Hartson, signed earlier this evening by the man himself, and the starting bid for his beautiful boot is £50. Have we anybody in the room looking to bid £50 for the signed John Hartson boot? Got a bidder in the bar. Anybody looking to bid £75 for the boot? This gentleman here, £100. £100. £125. £150. Yes, £175. £150. Anybody looking to push it up to £175? £200 at the bar? He's out. Anybody looking to bid £200? Going for £175 to the gentleman in the front. If you can go and see John over there. Thank you very much. Brilliant, excellent bid to get us started. The second item is a framed print signed by Johan Mjalby. Johan Mjalby. It's a framed print, and the starting bid for the framed print by Big Johan is £60, beautifully framed and signed. Do we have a bid for £60 for the Mjalby print? Anybody in the room looking to bid £60? Framed, signed, Johan Mjalby print. The gentleman right here, thank you very much. Anybody looking to bid £80? £80, Johan Mjalby, framed and signed print. It's going at the moment for £60. Anybody looking to pay £80? £60 to this gentleman here. If you can go over to John in the corner and he'll take some details from you. Well done, thank you very much. The third item is a framed A4 print signed by Celtic cult hero Paddy McCourt. He was in here just the other month there. The Derry Pelly. And the framed A4 print signed by Paddy McCourt, the starting bid is £40. £40, Paddy McCourt, the Derry Pelly. We've got any bids for £40? Paddy McCourt, signed, framed. Anybody in the room? Cult hero. He was in here. Was anybody in here when Paddy McCourt was in?
Yeah.
Yes. 40 quid, Paddy McCourt, signed and framed. Do we have any bids? £30. That's a decent gift for £30. Anybody? £30, excellent. Brilliant, there's the first bid right there. Would anybody like to bid 40?
Derek.
£30, Paddy McCourt, signed, framed print to this gentleman right here. If you just go over and give your details to John. Thank you very much. And the next one is a framed print signed by the Celtic legend Lubo Moravchik. He must have been twice the player, because the first bid is £80 for Lubo. £80, first bid right here. Do we have anybody looking to bid 100? 100 quid, Lubo, there we are, excellent. 120. 120 pounds, 150. Will we go to 150 for Lubo? Anybody? 120 pounds. Is that a bid there? You two can a drink? 100, scared to put your hand up. 120 pounds to this gentleman right here. Well done, sir. You can go and speak to John. Thank you. We've got another frame print of the main man, John Hartson, scoring against Liverpool at Anfield. The 2003 UEFA Cup quarter-final, signed personally by the big man this evening. And you will start the bidding at £60 for John Hartson, framed, signed, print, scoring against Liverpool. 2 bids, right? £60. Will somebody go to 80? £80? There's £80 right there. £100? 100, 125? Anybody? £125 for John Hartson's signed print? 125. Would you go to 150? He has. 150. Excellent. 175? 150. That's a brilliant bid. Well done to this gentleman here. £150. The next one is the framed signed print of the one and only Neil Lennon. Starting bid for Lenny is 80 quid. There he is. You love him. £80, Neil Lennon. Starting a bid at 80 quid for Lenny. There's a bid right there. £100. £100. 125. Would you go to one? Do you love him that much? 125? No. £100. Anybody in the room? 125. Neil Lennon. 100 quid seems fair enough to this gentleman right here. Well done. If you can go and give your details to Mr. John Brown. 100 quid. Right, next up, the soon to be sold out lunch with a certain Henrik Larsson in Glasgow on the 10th of May with special guests Jackie McNamara, Simon Donnelly and Myrtle McLeod. Starting bid, 2 tickets to see Henrik and 3 others. £100 starting bid, right here. 125, 2 hands up. 150, plenty hands up. 175, anybody going to 175? 200, 200 down the front. Right, 200 down the front. Anybody looking to bid 225 at the bar? 225. Go up to 240? Nah. 225. Anybody looking to outbid 225 at 240? VIP. General tickets, I believe. Sold to the man at the bar. If you can come up and give John your details. Well done. 225. And we do have another print. It's a framed, signed print of Stilian Petrov. Is he scoring against Rangers or celebrating? Number 17 of 30, limited edition print. Starting bid for Stan, 80 quid. Down here, down the front. Well done. 100. £80 for Stan Petrov. Anybody looking to bid 100? 100. In the middle of the room. 120.
The Lubo one for 300.
In the front.
300 quid.
100. Going 120 to this gentleman here. 130. Yes. 140. No. 130. Happy with that? Well done. £130. And you can go and see John at the side of the stage. Thank you very much for your assistance. We've got some brilliant questions from the audience for John Hartson. Much better than the ones I asked. So, without further ado, we will get Mr. Hartson back on the stage. Hands together and give a warm welcome to John Hartson. Mr. John Hartson. Welcome back, John.
Thank you.
Always find these questions very, very interesting. We'll get started straight off the bat.
Bring it on.
We've got a question from Jim McGovern, who's in the audience tonight. You said your incident with Eyal Berkovic followed you all your life, a training ground incident. When Alan Shearer kicked Neil Lennon in the face in a televised game, why has that incident been forgotten about?
Because he's Alan Shearer. No, I believe, I don't know how true it is, but I believe that was like 6 months before the World Cup. And Alan Shearer's people around him, his agents and everything else, basically said to the FA, if you cite me for this, or charge me, you can stick your World Cup up your arse. I'm not coming. And at that particular time, Alan Shearer was probably one of the best centre forwards in the world, scoring goals, top goal scorer, Premier League every week. So I believe that's what I heard. But there you go. It should have been, he did kick Neil Lennon. If you've seen the incident, and Neil made a meal of it as well. But no, genuinely, he did kick him in the face, and Neil fell on the floor. But I believe that's what happened, and sometimes, they break the rules for some and they don't for others. It should be the same across the board. So Shearer got away with that one, but I believe that's exactly what happened to England. He meant too much to the team than to give him a ban. If they banned him, he just said, well, I'm not coming. But there we are. When you're that powerful, I suppose, you can try these things, and obviously he's got away with that one.
Thanks for the question. Excellent.
Yeah.
We have someone in the audience, correct me if I'm wrong, called Dave Sals, who's asking a question. Do you fancy a few pints in the ferry after me? Thursday sesh.
I always fancy a few pints. The issue that I've got, I'm staying down the road, and I've got to be in London tomorrow at 8 o'clock, and I'm getting on the I'm getting on the 6:30 a.m. flight tomorrow from Edinburgh to City Airport. So the days of me going straight through are gone, by the way. I don't do that anymore. I've got wiser. Plus all the fucking phones will be out today. So if I wasn't, the last time I was in Dundee, I had a great night. I stayed in a hotel, we went out, we had a bit of karaoke, blah blah blah. I come up for Rob Douglas. He did a day for a local. Some of you were there, I think, that afternoon. It was a really, really good day, and we ended up going on the drink all day. And I normally like to stay and have a few drinks, but for the reason I'm off tomorrow, I'll have to turn that one down, Big Dave.
Kev Walton. Favourite goal, beach ball Sunday or Liverpool at Anfield?
Well, we won 2-1 at Beach Ball Sunday. That was after coming back from Boa Vista.
23rd April.
When I made that great run, took the defender away and Henrik scored that. No, all joking aside, the Liverpool goal was a great a one-off, because I never got many outside the box. My parents were behind the goal, and my mum says if there was no net there, I'd have caught the ball. So I was a Liverpool supporter all my life. Ian Rush was my idol growing up in Wales. So to have scored that goal, 2-0, game over, through to the semi-final of the UEFA Cup, was a great moment for me. But also coming back, but what people don't really know, or they might know, is because they might know this, I made that penalty after 10 minutes. Amaruso brought me down. Alan Thompson slotted a penalty in at Ibrox that Sunday after the Thursday game in Boa Vista. Then I scored the second goal. They got a goal back. We're winning 2-1. And in the 65th minute, I looked over at the bench and I went, my back's gone. I done a disc in my back in that game in the 65th minute. And I knew then that I wouldn't play in the UEFA Cup final. I knew then. So I limped off the pitch, and I played in 12 out of 13 games of that cup run. So I played all the way through Celtic, Vigo, Liverpool, Blackburn, all the games, Stuttgart, home and away, and missed the final. So as far as luck goes, you know, and I was on, we didn't pick up a trophy that year, and we lost the league by a goal. And that, after that Rangers game at Ibrox, we had 7 or 8 games left to play. And I was on 25 goals, so there's no doubt that I've added more goals. So I miss the final, and we don't win the trophy, so double whammy that year for me. So your fault. Blame me.
Rooney's fault.
Blame Scott Brown, yeah.
Good question from Mark. You played against Maldini, Puyol, Cannavaro, David McCracken. Who was the toughest defender you ever played against?
Well, they were all tough, believe me. But the one for me was Roberto Ayala for Valencia. 125 caps for Argentina. Really tough, strong Argentinian. And I always felt, because of my size, whenever I come up against like a Jamie Carragher or a Gareth Southgate, I always felt it was a bit of a doddle, because I could roll them. I was too big, I was too strong. They couldn't cope with my physicality. And that night in Valencia, we lost 1-0. Benitez was their manager. I think it was 2002, UEFA Cup. And Ayala comes onto the pitch, and I'm thinking, usually I'm 5'10". I'll have a good time tonight against him. I can roll him, I can beat him in the air. I never got a kick. He was so physically strong. He had an unbelievable leap. If I tried to bully him or lean on him, he'd give it as good back. And I never got a kick. And I come off the pitch thinking, wow, what a player. Hard as nails, rock hard. So a lot of them I played against were tough. Neil Ruddock, Tony Adams, Keown, all them you just named. But if I had to say one, I'd say Roberto Ayala, the great Argentinian. He was on a different level.
Bert Kotterman.
Hey, Bert.
How good was Lubo? What was he like in training?
Oh, Lubo just on a different, unbelievable. Everybody's thinking, where's he been? Where's this man been? Some of the things, remember he controlled the ball with his bottom against Juventus. 60 foot in the air, it's come down and he's gone like that, and it's incredible. And he's the only man that could whip in corners with either foot from either side with ridiculous quality. And some of the things he do. But that's the thing that we were all thinking, you know, he'd not come from, you know, a Man United or an AC Milan or a Juventus or something like that, you know. He'd come from a small little club, I believe, in Slovakia, where he was from, of course. Him and Stan Varga were very good friends because they were both from the same place. Both played for the same national team, I believe. But no, he's a great player and a wonderful guy as well, a really humble man, Lubo. And as I said, he was fantastic. Tons of ability, and that was the only thing that surprised the lads. Where's this lad? Where's he been? You know, he should have 100 caps for his country, and he should have played at the very. I know coming to Celtic, he was brilliant. Played in the Champions League, but he was good enough to play for Barcelona. He genuinely, I'm not just patronising it. He was unbelievable. What a player!
Thank you for that. Great question. Colin Munn in the room. Who's Colin? Colin would like to know, why is it that you're more of a Celtic man than Arsenal or West Ham?
I think with that, I think the club gets to you. I think it gets you. And what you find is, it's like when I played for Arsenal, great club, the biggest club in London, fan base, in my opinion. Not the richest, but certainly the biggest in terms of its support. If you're Thierry Henry, and you play for Arsenal, you can walk down the King's Road and nobody asks you for your autograph. Nothing. Just Jerry O'Reilly's London, just get on with it. Rod Stewart, famous stars. When you're in Glasgow, if I'm walking down Byers Road, it's like the Pied Piper. There's fucking 300 kids following me. And I walk into a restaurant in Glasgow, seriously, and the chef's son is a crazy Celtic fan. He's got your picture on his bedroom wall. If you're, what's that famous actor's name? Name me a famous actor. Al Pacino. Al Pacino. See, you fucking set me up there, didn't you? If you're Al Pacino, no disrespect, you go into a restaurant in Glasgow and everybody knows who you are, but you pay for your meal. If you're Neil Lennon or Henrik Larsson, the chef is a Celtic fan, so is his son. Oh, that's on us, Mr. Hartson, that's free, that's free. People like that. People tend to stay, a lot of Celtic players, because they can't live without it. They can't live without that adulation, if you like. But the way that you are treated, you know, obviously my illness, you know, speaks volumes for that, because the amount of support that I got, you know, the mail, the flowers, all the telegrams, the Celtic family signed a book with like 15,000 signatures on it, and the support was overwhelming, really. The hospital in Wales, I've never seen anything like it. Boxes and boxes of flowers and cards, and that certainly helped me, encouraged me in terms of getting better and fighting and just getting through it, really. There were so many people praying for me, the power of prayer and everything else. And I put that down to, you know, the support, not just from the Celtic family, but from other clubs that I never not got on with too well over the years. And I think when somebody's ill, football just takes a massive second place. You know, somebody's health comes first, you know, and the support that I got was incredible.
Alan Sampson would like to know, if Neil Lennon does get the job, would you be interested in joining his staff?
I would love to. I would love to obviously play a role, but Neil's had the job before, and I sat next to Neil for 5 years, and he didn't give me a job. You know, he gave a fucking bin man from Leicester the fucking Gary Parker. So I think it's a manager's prerogative when they get the job. So obviously, I don't think I'd get a role there as much as I'd love it. You know, even as a striker coach, anything, I'm always there. My phone's always on. I would love to have a role at Celtic, but you know, for me, I don't think it'll happen. I don't think it would. I get asked this question all the time, and sometimes when you get a role in football. Yeah. No, I can't fucking run. I couldn't run 20 fucking years ago, never mind now. But you know, obviously, it's a manager's prerogative to bring in who he wants. That's the choice he has. But saying that, now I think John Kennedy's been told he's got a role. Well, we'd have to ask the next manager, obviously. If it's David Moyes, he ain't going to so I don't know, but the answer to your question is, of course, you know, I'd walk on broken glass to work for Celtic. But whether it happens, probably not.
Question from Kevin Dunn. Can you remember what happened on April the 5th, 2006? It's very specific.
That was 13 years ago, tomorrow, my birthday. Yeah, I can remember, we played Hearts, and we beat them 1-0, and I scored the winning goal. And it meant we won the league that night. And I went out that night and got absolutely pissed as a fan.
Happy birthday!
Kevin, is you still in the audience? How do you remember that day so well?
John, that day was my wife's birthday, and also when my daughter Erin.
You're April the 5th, same as me. Oh, well done.
And his daughter.
My daughter Erin was born.
And it's an anniversary today.
Round of applause.
Was it? Yeah.
She got home from the hospital early. Baby, whoever he was, she said, "You're going fucking neighbour." John, 3, young Erin.
Brilliant. So Erin's now 13.
Erin's 13. John, you put the icing on the cake that day.
This is quite a lengthy one, written on a wee bit of notepad paper. In your opinion, John, how do you view the English media totally disregarding Scottish football, saying that Celtic players have to leave the club and prove themselves in the Premiership? For example, Kieran Tierney, and this is a question from David Tears. Thank you very much, David.
I totally agree with that. I think it's disrespectful. I really do. Money. That's it. Money. Virgil van Dijk goes to Southampton. He's on 15 grand a week at Celtic. He goes on to 65 grand a week at Southampton. Now he's on £350,000 a week at Liverpool. So it's money. Brendan Rodgers. It's money. He's gone on to £8 million a year. He's got £200 million to spend. But what Celtic does, it gives you that platform to play for one of the world's biggest clubs. You play Champions League football, European football most seasons if you're involved in a good team, like I was. We played European football every year, apart from the 1 year we dropped into the UEFA Cup when we got lost to Bâle that 1 year. And it's a great team to play for. I could have gone to Middlesbrough when Steve McLaren was there. Mark Viduka was leaving, and I spoke to Steve McLaren about joining Middlesbrough. But Martin O'Neill said he wanted to sign me for Celtic, and Jenny, I'm not just saying it, there was no option for me. I wanted to come and experience playing for Celtic. I wanted to experience the derby. I wanted to play in front of that amazing crowd every single week, every other week. And I wanted a Scottish wife. Yeah, and I wanted Scottish kids. And I've got 3 of them. So, it is disrespectful, but it's money. And money does things to people. You know, they try and secure their futures. And it's interesting now with Kieran, right? Kieran Tierney. We would all love to see Kieran stay at Celtic for the next 10, 12 years, right? I believe last year Everton made a huge play for Kieran. And I think the boy didn't want to go. He didn't want to go because I think he wants to be a part of the history. Yeah. But it'll be interesting this summer if United or Everton or Palace come in with 30, 35 million pounds. Not what Kieran does, what the club do. Do they sell him on? You know, and think it's ridiculous money. It's ridiculous money. But from Kieran's point of view, his mum and dad live in Motherwell. He's humble, he loves the club. As he said, he's adored because he's one of your own. And I believe last year, I know his agent, Alan Preston, used to play for Hearts. Alan Preston looks after Kieran Tierney. And I spoke to Alan, and he said the boy's in limbo, but doesn't want to go anywhere. And I think Brendan said, fine, you're not going anywhere, you'll stay. Whether he said he'll stay for a year, 2 years, 3 years, it's all changed now because Brendan's not here anymore. So the new manager will have a big role in terms of keeping his best players. So it's money. That's where the English Premier League, £35 million is a drop in the ocean for some of them boys down there. The money that they've got, the television rights, the money, BT, Sky, it just blasts Scottish football out of the water in terms of what it can offer players, wages-wise. you know. But we proved many a times when we went to Liverpool and won, we went to Blackburn and won, we've beaten Man United in big testing, we've beaten Man United at Celtic Park. So for me, it's a little bit unfair, but I don't think it'll ever change. I just think the Scottish League is looked down on in England, which I believe is a shame and is out of order as well. Absolutely.
He wants to remain anonymous, but his name's Peter.
Who is the thickest player you've ever played with?
If we mention fucking Scott Brown again. No, I've got to say, phones are off, are they? I always go back to fucking Craig Bellamy. Thick as fuck. Craig is that thick, he struggles to spell Oxo backwards. This is a true story, okay? This is a true story. I love a story, don't I? We're playing for Wales, right? Our front three is Giggs, Hartson, Bellamy. That's our front three for Wales for 10 years. So it's a Wednesday night and we play in Croatia in a European Championships qualifier at the Millennium Stadium. 72,000 people in that incredible stadium, right? So we're on the way to the ground, on the bus, we've left the hotel. So Craig Bellamy comes to the back of the bus. I'm sitting at the back and he said, John, he said, if Mark Hughes, the ex-Man United player, he said, if Mark Hughes, the manager, takes me off tonight, he said, that'll be the 4th time in the last 4 internationals he's took me off. I said, right. He said, well, I'm not going to be fucking very happy about it. I said, well, Craig, to be fair, you're not fucking very happy most of the time anyway. So he's gone, no, I'm being serious. He said, if he does that, he said, I'm going to walk over to him, take my shirt off, throw it in his face, and walk down the tunnel. I went, Craig, fucking bad idea. Mark Hughes, psychopath. Fucking lunatic. Right? Mark Hughes would have kicked his granny to an attack. Monster. Mark Hughes, Manchester United. Incredible. I said, Craig, look, I said, let me give you a bit of advice. I said, I'm 4 or 5 years older than you. I said, you're going to get loads of caps. You're the best centre forward in Wales. I said, you're going to win loads of caps. Great player. He went on to win 82 caps. He was a fantastic player. Liverpool, Celtic, City, West. He had a brilliant career. Liverpool twice, right? Brilliant player. He said, fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway. So I said, carry on. So there's only so much you can do with shooting people, right, who are fucking like that, right? Tell them, you can tell them, but you've got to step back eventually. Fucking carry on, do what you want. So the game kicks off, right? 65th minute, the ball goes into the 3rd tier at the Millennium Stadium. You'd be lucky if you get it back. It's fucking 200 feet up, right? So there's a little break in play. So Craig jogs over to me. I'm in the centre circle, just standing there where I normally fucking stood, right? So I'm standing there. The Craig Bellamy used to wear number 8 Bellamy on the back of his shirt. So it's the 67th minute, 68th minute. 67th, yeah. I thought that song was going to come up. So Craig walks over to me. And he says, fucking watch this. I fucking told you, you know. So we both look over to Mark Hughes. Mark steps out of his technical area and he's got a board in his hand. And he puts up number 11. So Craig said to me, look, I told you, he's fucking taking us all off. What a thick man. But I know Craig is in Cardiff tonight telling a fucking joke about me, son.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was fantastic. Thank you very much for all your questions. We're going to, John is going to help us draw the raffle. So there's quite a few excellent prizes, and Mr. Hartson will draw the winning tickets. Is there someone here? First prize. Matt Busby biography signed by author and journalist Paddy Barclay, and the ticket is green 616 to 620. Green 616 to 620. Well done. Next up is a voucher for Clark's on Lindsay Street, this very bar, and the winning ticket is green 606 to 610. Just a bit. You got it? Nice one. Well done. Next up, Paddy McCourt, signed print, the Derry Pelly. He was in here just the other month. And the winning ticket this time is green again. It's 611 to 615. All the sixes. 611 to 615. Well done, Paul. Well done. Next up is a Pierre Van Hooydonk.
I don't upset anybody, big fella, pull that out.
I got John.
Big Pierre, signed print, 411 to 415. There you go. And we have a retro Celtic strip signed personally to you by John Hartson, and the winner will be invited onto the stage so that they can get it signed, and we'll get a wee picture, so bring your phone. The winning ticket is green 586 to 590. 586 to 590. Up you come, bring your phone. I'll ask it right now. We're out of time. Now, we do have one final auction item that will be presented by John Hartson to some lucky punter this evening. Before I do that, just a wee message from our sponsors, KK Health and Fitness. Thank you very much for sponsoring the event. They would like to know, John, do you have a wee club? I know your dad played for the local team. Do you have a wee club? If Celtic's your big club?
Yeah, Swansea City. Swansea City. When I was born and bred, yeah, so it never leaves you, does it, really, your local club, and supported Swansea all my life, but it's a shame that they've got relegated, but fucking Cardiff's going to get relegated this year. That makes up for it.
Who's your wee club?
Forfeit. We can still win the league.
that, sorry?
4-5. Yeah. I don't think they're winning the league, but
Are they in the number or are they at the minute?
they're sitting third, well, joint second.
What is 4-4?
Give it fairly well,
You've got to educate me. Where is 4-4? Just up the road, is it? Yeah, well, good luck. I mean that. Good luck to you. They're looking for a manager.
This is a stylish jersey that John wore in his playing days. He'll sign it, you can get your photograph taken. This is one of our final auction items at £100. I know that some of the other jerseys, there was a number of bids. We've got a bid of £100 down the front. Would anyone like to bid 125? Come up and get the shirt signed by John Hartson himself. £125, anyone in the room? We've got a bidder right here, 150, anybody? £150 for the signed John Hartson Celtic jersey. At the bar, 150, 175, anybody? It's going for £150 currently. £150, good bid, going. 175. 175, 200. 200 at the bar. You go up to 220. £200 at the bar. Quite outstanding bid. Going for £200 to the gentleman at the bar. Well done, £200. If you just come up and John will sign the jersey for you. Bring your phone.
Over to John. Right, okay. Go get your
for the evening. John Hartson's been an inspiration to many since he successfully fought his own cancer battle. I think everybody in the room will have faced or someone in their family will have been affected by cancer. So John, can you tell us a little bit about your foundation?
Yeah, well, my foundation, we set it up in 2010 because one of the reasons I set it up was because how do you thank somebody who's just saved your life? You can't. Basically, you can't. So one of the reasons I set up the charity was because I wanted to give something back. I was so grateful. I was so blessed. I was given unbelievable treatment and I was really, really lucky. So I set up the charity, and this year we will go over the £1 million mark. I couldn't do that on my own. We rely on the public, we rely on great support. It's based, the office is in East Kilbride in Glasgow, and it's overwhelming. Everything we do, we sell out. We do 4 events every year. We woke up Ben Nevis. Last year we did it with 150 of our supporters. That was for the 5th time. We have a golf day which is in Turnberry on April the 30th. We have a sportsman's dinner, and we have a charity ball which is on the 7th of September in the Doubletree Hilton in Glasgow. So that's where all the money has come from. Every single penny we raise, we give away to hospices and cancer affected, treatment and things like that. So the one thing that makes me proud really is that it's run immaculately. Every single person that's involved, we all pull in the same direction. We all want one thing, and that is to raise as much money as we can. And I'm really, really proud of that. So, as I said, I couldn't do it without the support of the people, and it means a lot to me. But it's not just me; it's the team. They go out and they network. They sell the tickets. They get support in acts. They get the stars to come and play for us, and blah blah blah. And I'm really proud of that. So I'm just as proud as anything else, because I'm helping somebody else and I'm giving something back. So that's what it's all about.
Thank you, John. We've raised almost £1 million, so we do have a charity auction here for a Wales jersey that all proceeds will go to John's charity this evening. So I know that there's a few people in the room who might have been disappointed that they missed out on some of the other jerseys. So we'll do a wee auction on the Wales jersey, same as before. You can come up and get it from John, get your picture taken, get it signed. And we'll start the bidding at £100. Every penny's going to John's charity. So £100 up here, well done, great. 125, anybody in the room? 125, 150, 175, £175. All pennies will be going to John Hartson's foundation. So we've got a bid at the moment, 175 at the bar. Well, we push it to 200. Fantastic bid, well done. 225, anybody? 200 to this gentleman right here. We'll be celebrating Erin's 13th birthday tomorrow. £200 to this man, up you come. Well done, sir. Big round of applause, well done. Thank you, each and every one of you, for being here tonight. It's been a fantastic audience. Thank you to the Longest 40 for putting this event on. To Clark's Bar for having us, to our sponsors, KK Health and Fitness. But most importantly, thank you to John Hartson.
I just want to say about the wonderful nights that we have. Sometimes when you go to events, you really don't know what to expect. But no, you've been a great crowd, you've been very respectful, and I hope that I've come across okay as well. So all the best. Thank you you raised a lot of money tonight, and also the donation for my charity is fantastic. It's people like the gentleman there. That's why we've raised so much money. So thanks very much. Cheers.